Quick question. Have you ever had a day where you haven't actually done a great deal, but by about 4 o'clock you feel like you've run a marathon? You're irritable, you're tight, your shoulders are feeling it a bit, and you think you're one minor inconvenience away from that meltdown. Now, most of us wait for a big bang event, a crisis or something gigantic to justify feeling stressed. But after 25 years as a psychotherapist, I've realized it's rarely the big things that break us. It's the micro stress. It's the unread emails, the background noise, the rush into the kettle or the washing machine, and all of those open tabs in your brain that never get closed. And we'll just say, yeah, that's life. But these small moments take a huge toll. So today we're going to talk about how to stop those little things from piling up. We're not fixing your life today. We're making 1% shifts to stop your nervous system from constantly bracing itself for a threat that isn't there. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about the accumulation trap, why your body won't distinguish between the tiger and 10 unread messages. Then we're going to look at the bracing habit, how to spot that physical clench that you carry every day. Then the 1% reset. I'll give you 5 realistic low energy tools to interrupt the buildup of your stress before we look at closing the loop. And we'll finish with a tiny task that I can help regulate you. I'm Heidi Lester. I'm a counsellor and psychotherapist. And if there's one thing I've learned is that we're all doing our best with nervous systems that were never designed for the modern world. And that's why I started this podcast, We Are All Fine. This isn't a space for clinical lectures. It's a space for us to have honest conversations, and I'll give you practical tools that will help you make sense of your mind. We are all flawed, insecure, nervous, and emotional. And you know what? That's going to always be okay. So you are joining me, whether you're out for a walk, maybe you're driving, or finally just sitting down for those 5 minutes of peace. So let's start looking at those tiny pressures that are wearing you down.
This is We Are All Fine with Heidi Lester, counsellor and psychotherapist with over 25 years of experience. Join us as we unpack emotions, relationships, and mental health strategies to help you show up as your best self.
Take one of those days that I know you've had where you've thought, why do I feel so on edge today? What is this about? I haven't done a lot, but I'm absolutely exhausted. Now, we're all guilty of this, and this is why. Your nervous system, it doesn't just respond to the big stresses, those huge big moments in your life. It responds to the build-up. Now, I'll be honest with you. I used to have a real resistance to this idea, to this accumulation, because to me, the thought of stress building up felt a little bit like a weakness. I believed I should be able to outrun it if I just worked a little bit harder. I remember this so clearly from when I was diagnosed with breast cancer about 6 years ago. I was told I needed 8 rounds of chemotherapy, and because I am stubborn, and I say that with a lot of love for myself, I was absolutely determined that this was not going to change or rule my life. I kept walking, I kept running, I kept working, and I kept pushing. And people always told me, Heidi, this is accumulative. This is going to catch you up. I didn't want to hear that. I didn't want to believe that my body was keeping a tally that I couldn't see. But then around, I think it was about chemotherapy 6, it hit me like an absolute brick. What was suddenly, but it wasn't, the fatigue hit, and my low immune system, it just couldn't show up for me anymore. And I remember feeling so angry, not at the cancer, but at me. I was angry at my body for slowing down. And it took me so long to realise it wasn't my body that was failing me. It was speaking to me. It was telling me that, come on, Hyde, you're done. The tally, we're full up here. So our nervous systems work exactly like that. You might feel fine after one stressful meeting, one horrible sleepless night, or one difficult conversation. You'll think, okay, this is cool. I'm getting on with it. But your nervous system is keeping the score in the background and collecting every tiny moment of alert, every bracing of your shoulders, and every don't forget this and handle that, all those noises in your head. It's a series of small, repeated activations that never quite get the message that they're allowed to switch off. It isn't a lack of willpower, it's biology. And just like I had to learn to appreciate that I could only do what I could do until my health was back on track, we have to learn to respect our nervous system's tally, because we have to learn to listen before we hit our own version of round 6. I see this all the time in my therapy room. People coming in thinking that there's something wrong because they feel anxious, irritable, or just drained. But when we slow it down together, we start to notice the day, and the day is usually full of pressure, full of input, full of micro demands, with no space in between. So today isn't about fixing your entire life. It's about something much more realistic. It's about what we're going to call the 1% shifts. The small changes, the gentle adjustments, the things that don't overwhelm your system further, but actually will support it. Because your nervous system, it doesn't need a complete overhaul. It needs consistent signals of safety and care. So today's episode's not about fixing your whole life. It's about something much more realistic. It's about what we're going to call the 1% shifts, the small changes, the gentle adjustments, and those things that don't overwhelm your system further, but will actually go some way to support it. Because your nervous system doesn't need a complete overhaul. It needs consistent signals of safety. Let's start with the first shift. And this one is so simple, but I think so super powerful. It's noticing when you're holding the tension in your body. Because most of us, we don't realize how much of our day is spent slightly braced, tense. Maybe the jaw's a little bit tight, the shoulders will feel lifted, the breath won't be fully in and out, and you might not even feel mentally stressed, but your body is still there preparing. So I often say to clients, you just need to take a pause here a few times a day and ask yourself, what is my body doing right now? You're checking in with yourself, not with your thoughts, but with your body. And then gently soften something. Gentle pauses allow you drop your shoulders, unclench your jaw, maybe just take one big breath in. You're not trying to completely relax. It's not about that. It's about interrupting the build-up. And that is a 1% shift. The second shift is about how you move through your day, because micro stresses often live in rushing. Now, rushing through your thoughts, rushing through your body, rushing from one thing to another, rush, gotta do this, gotta do that, and you're not pausing. So your nervous system, it will read and tune in to that pressure. So instead of telling yourself, oh, I need to slow down, relax, you ain't going to do that. That's not realistic. Just choose one moment in your day to move slightly differently. Maybe you walk a little bit slower to the next meeting, or maybe you pause before replying to a message. And maybe you just take that inhale in, pause, get on with the next task. You're giving yourself a little hug. What you're doing there is showing your nervous system, okay, no one's chasing us here. And believe me, that matters more than you will ever know. Your nervous system is your best friend and it needs looking after. The third shift is one people often resist at first. And guess what that is? It's reducing the input. Because we're constantly taking things in. Think about this: noise, information, other people's moods, social media news. It's everything around us. We're absorbing it. And your system doesn't filter what it thinks is good for you or what is bad for you. It just absorbs a whole lot. So one of the most regulating things you can do is create small pockets of less noise, less scrolling, less background stimulation. Even 5 minutes, no phone, no input, just you and a quieter environment. That's not doing nothing. That's not doing nothing. That's giving your nervous system space to reset. And the fourth shift is completing small stress cycles, because a lot of micro stress comes from things that stay open. Unfinished tasks, unanswered messages, all those numbers next to the emails on your phone, things sitting in the background of your mind. Your brain, it will keep them active. It's like feeding them. So instead of trying to clear everything, just choose one small thing. Reply to that message, finish that one small task, and tick off that one thing that you've been holding on to for what feels like forever. And let your system feel the completion of it. That sense of done is so regulating, and it tells your brain, you've got this, we're safe, we're in control, you've done something productive. Finish it productive. And let's talk about the fifth shift, which is, I say, probably the most important. And that is how we speak to yourself. That is how you speak to yourself through all of this. Micro stress will build even faster when it's paired with self-pressure. I should, shoulds and shouldn'ts. I should be doing more. Why can't I handle this? I need to get on top of everything. Just hear those words, that tone. It keeps your system activated. So what I often invite my clients to do is gently switch up the language, not into false positivity, but into something way more honest and supportive. So things like this, okay? This is a lot today. No wonder I'm feeling a bit gripey, a bit rough, but I can do this. I'll just slow myself down. This shift alone will reduce the intensity of what you're feeling, because your nervous system is always listening to how you speak to yourself. So what I want you to take from today's episode is this. It's not the big things that are wearing you down most of the time. It's those constant low-level activation things that your system does not get a break from. And you don't need to fix everything to feel better. If you think that, you're already failing. You just need to start changing your relationship with those small moments. That's where your regulation lives. Never in perfection or in control, but in those small, consistent signals of safety. So as you go about your week now, just notice, where can I create that 1% shift? Not the full reset, just one small moment where you can choose something to do that is different. And that's how change actually happens. Thank you. Thank you for being here with me today, as always. Now, if this episode was helpful, please do share it. That's how we work to reach more people like you who could just do with some really regular, down-to-earth, basic therapeutic advice. And follow me, Heidi Lester, on social media at Therapy Applied, where I will be sharing more simple, practical tools you can use every day. This was episode 58 of We're All Fine, and you are going to join me next week for episode 59, where I am going to be switching things up and talking about a social battery audit. If you are tired of absorbing everybody else's energy and want to protect your own peace, you need to join me. So until then, have the best week. Think about what we've talked about. Remember, always be yourself. You are no one else. I'm Heidi Lester. You take care. This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional therapy, personal diagnosis, or medical advice. These opinions are personal and I do not guarantee accuracy. Listening to this podcast does not create a counselling relationship, so please always consult a qualified mental health professional with any concerns.